Hey good people, welcome back to my channel, Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Kara, and if you are new here, thank you for stopping by. If you have already subscribed, thank you again for coming back and taking time out of your day to spend a few minutes with me. Today, I'm doing a different type of video. It is going to be about duping, the new Urban Decay Ultraviolet palette. This is a practice that I know I need to do more often. So if you want to see if I can pull this off successfully and also see how I got this look right here, please keep on watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get started. So if you keep up with the newest makeup releases, you know that Urban Decay just released their latest naked palette, and this is the Ultraviolet naked palette. When I first started getting into makeup, the naked palettes were some of the first that I bought. I had the Naked 3, which had rose gold tones. I had the Naked Cherry, which was my favorite for a very long time. And I also had the Naked Heat. And more recently, I purchased the Naked Honey, but I have gotten rid of all of those palettes. And the reason is that for some reason, I don't know if it was my blending technique or what, it just seemed like all of their shades would blend together into one shade. I wasn't able to see any of the depth or the dimension that I was trying to create. And it started to make me frustrated, especially as I started to get more familiar with other brands and did not experience the same problem. When I saw the Naked Ultraviolet palette, I really thought it was beautiful. I think it's beautiful. And I was thinking that there are enough different shades because they have the neutral shades at the beginning and then the more violet shades towards the second half of the palette. I felt like there are enough shades that I wouldn't get that one shadow look. But then I thought, I have bought so much makeup recently that I haven't even received yet. If I can skip this one, that's what I'm gonna do. So what I decided to do was go into my extensive eyeshadow collection and try to dupe the palette, which I think I pulled off, including the holographic shades. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to read off the shade names from the Naked Ultraviolet palette and the description, and then I'm going to show you the swatches from shadows that I feel are good dupes for each particular shade. I hope that made sense. To do this, I used 6 different palettes. And I know it's not very convenient if you want to get a certain look to pull out all these palettes, but you know what? This is how I'm going to make sure that I'm using my makeup, especially since I'm still in the house a lot. So the first palette I used, one of my all-time favorites, Urban Decay Naked Born to Run. This is it here. I still consider this to be one of my top favorite palettes, and it is still worth buying in my eyes. The second palette I used was the It's My Pleasure palette from ColourPop, where you see there are a bunch of violet shades. The third palette I used was from Pat McGrath. This is her Metamorphosis palette. The fourth palette I used was by Too Faced. It's the Born This Way Natural Nudes palette. Number 5, Pat McGrath Mothership Subversive. And last but not least, Pat McGrath Mothership Bronze Seduction. So these are the 6 palettes that I used to find dupes for the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet palette. And this was really fun. I'm gonna do this more often. This also forces me to use my makeup and not forget about some of these older palettes that I have. So this was a really good exercise. I would advise anybody that buys a lot of makeup to do this. That way you are not spending extra money, because it is very tempting. There are a lot of new collections coming out, and I'm trying to pick and choose which ones I want to buy, which ones I can pass on, and which ones do I already secretly have. And I secretly have this. So let's get started with the shade names, descriptions, and swatches. So the first shade in the palette is called Trippin'. Trippin' is described as a warm ivory satin. So my dupe for Trippin' comes from the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. The shade name is called Breakaway. And let me zoom us in so we can see these shades. The shade name is Breakaway. Okay. I would consider this shade to be a warm ivory satin. The second shade is called Mind Slip. And Mind Slip is described as a soft peach matte. And for this dupe, I chose the shade Seashell, which is in the Too Faced Natural Nudes palette. This is the shade Seashell, and here is the swatch. The third shade is called Dazed. It is a golden pink shimmer with gold micro pearls. Also from the Too Faced Born This Way Natural Nudes palette, I chose the shade Rose Gold because to me, this looks like a golden pink shimmer with gold micro pearls. What focus? There it is. The next shade is Hacked. Hacked is described as a nude mauve matte or mauve. Some people say mauve. Also from the Too Faced Natural Nudes palette, it's got a lot of dupes here. I chose the shade Warm Rose. And here is the swatch. Okay. Next we have VR, which is Raspberry Sparkle with Iridescent Micro Shimmer. So for this, I actually chose one of the Urban Decay single eyeshadows that I bought, and it is called Solstice. And you see that it's got a raspberry tone, but then you can see the shift. Now the shift in the Ultraviolet palette says it has iridescent micro shimmer. So let's see. They called it VR, like how Pat McGrath calls her shades VR. All right, I'm just joking. All right, so here is this shade. And this is actually beautiful because look at that color shift. You see the raspberry and you see a green iridescence. And here's the swatch. The next color is Lucid. Lucid is described as a holographic green pearl shift. So for this shade, I went into Bronze Seduction, and the shade is called VR Fire Opal. It looks like this, and you can already see that it's holographic and green. So I'm gonna show you the swatch. Look at that. There we go, look at that. The next shade is called Optimized. Optimized is described as a lavender matte. So for this, I went into the ColourPop It's My Pleasure palette, and I chose the shade Kitten Fish because it is a lavender matte. Next we have Warning, which is bright pink satin with a purple shift. So for this shade, also from the It's My Pleasure ColourPop palette, I chose the shade Bare Minimum. Next we have the shade Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is described as violet shimmer with pink micro shimmer. For that, I went into Subversive, and I chose the shade Night Creature. Next we have Euphoric. Euphoric is a cool toned light purple with blue shift, and I used a combination of shades for this one, and the shades come from It's My Pleasure. There was actually 3 that I was looking at for this one, but I chose the shades Do or Do, and Earth Shine, but I also like Chiclet for this. So I'm gonna swatch all three, one on top of the other, so you can see the shade. So start with Chiclet. All right, so we have Chiclet here. Now on top of it, I'm gonna swatch Do or Dough to get that blue shift. And then on top of that, I'm going to swatch Earth Shine. And there we go. Next, we have Purple Dust, which is ultraviolet with iridescent micro shimmer. So for Purple Dust, I chose one of the ColourPop Super Shock shadows, and you can see already right here that you see that iridescent shimmer. And last but not least, we have Digital. Digital is described as smoky black with red micro shimmer. Digital, I went into the Pat McGrath Metamorphosis palette and I chose the shade Smoked Amethyst. So here is my Naked Palette Ultraviolet dupe. And I think it's pretty good. I definitely would love to hear your thoughts about my dupe palette. If you did purchase the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet palette, I would love to know what you think about it and how you think it performs and the quality of the shadows. I know a lot of people were saying you really have to build up the pigment. That's okay sometimes, but I'm having less and less time for that. But I'm just thrilled that I actually went through my collection and found shades that really fit all of the descriptions, because I do think that it's pretty close. So definitely let me know what you think. Let me know if you're planning on buying the palette, and if you do have it, again, I'd love to know what you think about it. So now we're gonna get into this look that I have here. I really like it. It reminds me of like a unicorn mermaid type of look, and I hope you like it too. All right, everybody, I really hoped that you enjoyed this video, and please let me know your thoughts. Again, thank you for taking your time to spend some of it with me today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.